Hi there, and welcome to the Cotswold Explorer. I'm Robin Shuckburgh, and we're exploring the wonderful region of the Cotswolds in southwest England. We've decided to revisit the centre of the region and find some hidden gems, places that are not quite so famous, but still just as beautiful. Today you find Ross, Widget, Gizmo and me in the little village spelt Ebrington, but I'm told pronounced Yabbington. We're right up in the northern edge of the Gloucestershire county, and we're looking at the sort of little villages we missed. How we missed this one, I'm really not quite sure. It is absolutely beautiful. We're going to show you round. Come with us. Dropping off the northwest tip of the folds of the Cotswold Hills, you find yourself in the Vale of Evesham. Along the foothills are several interesting little hillocks, the praises of one of which, Meon Hill, we've sung several times already. And Ebrington, or Ebrington, as I, not having a Gloucestershire accent and not wishing to upset the locals with my attempts to imitate one, will continue to pronounce it, sits on one of them, floating just offshore, so to speak, from Chipping and Broad Camden. This wonderfully unspoiled village reeks of history. Ebrington Manor, just southwest of the church, is 13th century in origin. Sadly, you don't get to see the best of the house from the back, and the front drive is protected by two splendid gate piers built around 1700 and topped with fine stone vases with curved walls to subsidiary piers, all suitably intimidating and enough to keep us from intruding. This house is lived in by the Fortescue family, whose ancestor, Sir John Fortescue, bought the place just before the Wars of the Roses, the English Civil Wars fought between 1455 and 1457. Sir John Fortescue, born in Somerset, was a jurist, notable for a legal treatise, De Laudibus Legum Angliae, which translates as In Praise of the Laws of England. He wrote it for the instruction of Edward, Prince of Wales, son of the deposed King Henry VI of England. He also stated a moral principle that remains to this day basic to the Anglo-American jury system. It is better that the guilty escape than that the innocent be punished. Fortescue became Chief Justice of the King's Bench in 1442 and was knighted the following year. After the defeat of Henry VI's Lancastrian army at Towton, Yorkshire, in 1461, he fled with Henry to Scotland, where Fortescue was appointed Lord Chancellor of the exiled government. From 1463 to 71, he lived in France at the court of Henry's queen, Margaret of Anjou, where he helped to educate Prince Edward to rule England in the event of a Lancastrian restoration. Returning to England, he was captured at Tewkesbury, Gloucestershire, during the final defeat of the Lancastrians in 1471. He submitted to the Yorkist king, Edward IV, and was allowed to retire to his home. He died here in 1479. Unusual for its time, De Laudibus depreciates the Roman-derived civil law and eulogizes the English constitution, statutes, and system of legal education, while offering suggestions for reform. It was probably the first book about law written in a style so simple and lucid as to be comprehensible to the layman. And whilst I don't for a second suggest that you all go and look it out and read it, It's a reminder of the enormous legacy the English legal system has left so many of us lucky enough to live in the free world. The village is built on the steep folds of the hill around the church and a small village green, and you see clearly some of the features of medieval building on steep slopes. The pavements are often raised well above the roads. House terraces are stepped, and there are small flights of stone steps in strange places to get you from one level to another. The place has a proper village community feel, and whilst there are some fairly ordinary housing projects on the outskirts of the village, all in all, it is almost completely unspoiled. There seems to be an active cricket club with a well-kept pitch and pavilion, and nowhere do you get the feeling of over-manicuring we have seen in the nearby Cotswold heartlands. The village pub, the Ebrington Arms, is a great classic country pub, where you can stay if you like. The lunch Ross and I had there was exactly what we needed. Simple but delicious. They were extremely welcoming, despite a shortness of staff, which seems to be a constant problem in the hospitality business these days. The church of St Edinburgh is based on a late Norman footprint, but it was hugely restored and altered, many say rather clumsily, in 1875 by George Hunt of Evesham. The south doorway survives with fantastic chevron moulding. And I have to admit, I rather like the sense of space this alteration has left us. Outside, the two-stage tower is embattled with pinnacles, and there's an interesting sundial dated 1628, next to the arms of the Kite family, another of the rather less noble but nonetheless influential families who occupied the village. In about 1741, Sir William Kite set light to his own house when seriously drunk and perished in the flames. We've told some quite exciting stories of other members of the Kite family elsewhere. Inside, perhaps the most interesting features to be found are the memorials. In particular, the berobed stone effigy of Sir John Fortescue, created shortly after his death, with a marble plaque added in 1677. Opposite is a monument to Sir William Kite, with Corinthian columns and obelisks, and others to later Kites, which shows the family continued to live here even after the disastrous fire. There's quite a big octagonal font, a pulpit with carved arched panels, and a great sounding board over it. It's all dated 1679. There's a 1725 Royal Arms, and flanking the tower arch, some remnants of ancient war painting. With its impressive pews, with some reused 15th century ends and others copied in the 19th century, the church feels splendid in many ways. However, the alterations have left a blocked-up squint and the remains of a rude stair, all of which give you an idea of what once was. We really liked this village. Everyone we met was friendly, and we enjoyed the distant sight of members of the Fortescue house party playing tennis in the sunshine. A classic English country house pastime. I hope you've enjoyed our little trip around Yabbington in northern Gloucestershire. It's quite interesting how the architectural feel of the place is different from what we're used to. There's far more thatch here than there has been to date, but it's really pretty. The views are fantastic, and it's a village well worth a visit. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can find us in all the normal places, and visit our website. It's thecotswoldexplorer.co.uk, where you will find details of everything we've ever done. We'll see you again very soon. somewhere else in the Cotswolds.